Lily Clark stood on the dusty main street, sun beating down on her golden hair like a halo. The air was thick with the scent of leather and fresh-cut hay, while the distant sound of clanging metal echoed from the blacksmith's forge. She clutched a thick slice of bread in her small hand, her heart thumping in sync with the steady rhythm of hoofbeats echoing in the distance. When her eyes caught sight of the solitary figure crouched behind the supply barrels, time seemed to pause. The girl, no older than herself, sat still as stone, her bare feet pressing against the weathered wood, dark hair spilling around her shoulders like a raven's wings. Lily's breath hitched as she recognized the longing in the child's dark eyes, an echo of her own hunger. "Papa!" she called, her voice bright but uncertain, urging him to turn. Samuel Clark emerged from the general store, his hands worn and calloused from years of labor. His heavy boots thudded against the ground, announcing his arrival like a distant storm. "Lily, come inside," he said firmly, his gaze hardening as it landed on the native girl. "That one doesn't belong here." "But she looks hungry," Lily protested, her voice a gentle plea as she stepped closer, the bread feeling heavy and warm in her palm. Samuel frowned, his brow furrowing like storm clouds gathering. "Lily, I won't say it again. Come back." But Lily stood rooted to the spot, heart racing. She watched as the little girl's hands pressed flat against her belly, instinctively connecting with the pain that sometimes gnawed at her own during lean months. The air around them felt charged with unspoken fears and misunderstandings, heavy like a brewing storm. The girl looked up, and their eyes locked for a heartbeat. Two innocent souls trapped in worlds that spoke different languages, yet understood the same hunger. "Are you hungry?" Lily whispered, the words slipping from her lips like a fragile feather in the wind. The native girl's eyes widened, catching the sunlight like polished stones. Her fingers twitched, hesitant but hopeful. Samuel's sharp intake of breath interrupted the moment, a knife cutting through soft fabric. "Lily!" he snapped, urgency cracking his voice. "Step back. She's not one of us." "But she's just a girl," Lily shot back, the weight of her father's expectations pressing against her chest like a vice. "She deserves kindness." "Enough," Samuel barked, a thunderous command that reverberated through the stillness of the street. The surrounding townsfolk glanced over, some casting disapproving glares. The wind whistled softly, carrying away the tension. From the doorway, Sarah appeared, her flour-dusted apron flaring like wings. "What's wrong, Samuel?" Her voice, filled with maternal concern, cut through the heat of their argument. The native girl began to rise, her movements cautious as though the wooden planks might break beneath her. But in that fleeting moment, Lily made a choice, a decision that would echo through both communities for generations. With steady resolve, she stepped forward, holding out the bread. "Here," she said, her voice a tender balm amidst the growing turmoil. "Mama made extra. You can have mine." Samuel's expression shifted, surprise and disbelief battling within him. The native girl froze, eyes darting between the innocent kindness in Lily's blue gaze and the looming shadows of the adults behind her. "Lily, don't," Samuel began, but the words faltered in the air. "Mama!" Lily interrupted, her small hand trembling with the effort of doing what felt right. "She's hungry." The native girl's lips parted as if to speak, yet no sound came forth. The silence hung heavy, punctuated only by the distant murmur of the town's heartbeat. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Sarah knelt beside Lily, the gentleness in her voice soothing the tension that crackled like static electricity. For a moment, the native girl hesitated, lost in the whirlwind of thoughts and fears. Then, barely above a whisper, she replied, "Ayana." Lily repeated the name softly, testing the syllables on her tongue. "Ayana? That's pretty." From the corner of his eye, Samuel saw the flicker of understanding in Sarah's gaze, the way her expression softened, and he felt the tight grip of tradition loosening just a bit. But the past lingered like a spectre, and uncertainty clung to him like dust on the wind. As Ayana's stomach growled audibly, the sound pierced the air and brought a flush of color to her cheeks. Lily shifted closer, placing the food atop the barrel, creating a bridge of trust that crossed the chasm of fear. "It's really good. Mama makes the best bread." With movements careful as a doe approaching water, Ayana reached for the offering, her fingers trembling as they closed around the bread. It was as if she cradled something sacred, bringing it to her lips with reverence. The first bite caught her by surprise, and tears gathered in her dark eyes, as if that simple gesture broke the chains of silence she had worn for so long. "She's just a little girl," Sarah whispered to Samuel, her voice thick with emotion. Samuel watched as Lily settled beside Ayana, chatting eagerly about the different types of bread her mother baked, her innocent chatter weaving a fragile thread of connection. Ayana listened intently, nodding, but still held her silence, as if words were something she had forgotten how to use. Beyond the town's edges, an elderly native man sat motionless on his horse, observing the scene unfold with eyes that had seen far too much. The sun dipped low behind him, casting long shadows that stretched across the dusty earth like fingers reaching for something lost. He held the reins loosely, the old leather worn and cracked, a testament to years of patience and observation. "Samuel," he called, his voice gravelly but steady, breaking the spell of youthful hope. "What are you doing, boy? You're playing with fire." All eyes turned to the man, the weight of history settling between them like an unseen barrier. The wind carried the scent of sagebrush and distant thunder, reminding the townsfolk of storms yet to come. Lily shot a glance back at her father, searching for approval. "Papa, look, she's just like us," she urged, her voice trembling with a mixture of hope and defiance. "She can be part of our world." Samuel's brow furrowed deeper, each wrinkle a testament to the battle raging within. Tradition fought against compassion, just as the old man on the horse had fought against the march of time and change. "No, she's different. They're not like us, Lily. You know that." But Ayana raised her head, meeting his gaze with newfound strength. "I want to learn," she said finally, words spilling forth like precious water from a cracked vessel. "I can help. Please." The elderly man shifted in his saddle, eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. Lily, fiery and brave. Samuel, a fortress of doubt. Sarah, a bridge of understanding. And Ayana, a flickering flame of hope. "You think kindness will erase the scars, young ones?" he asked, his tone measured but fierce as the gathering storm clouds. "Trust is not given lightly in these parts. It's earned." Samuel swallowed hard, the truth of those words heavy on his tongue. "But it starts somewhere," he whispered, almost to himself. The gust of wind picked up, swirling dust and leaves around them, an uninvited chorus to the burgeoning harmony. "You have a choice," the old man continued, his gaze piercing through Samuel's hesitation. "Nurture what grows here, or watch it wither away." Lily, undeterred by the weight of his words, turned back to Ayana, her smile radiant against the encroaching shadows. "We can teach you everything. We have so many stories." As the sun set lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and crimson, Samuel's resolve wavered. Maybe kindness was the kindling they needed. Maybe it was time to let the threads of their lives intertwine, to trust that in weaving together they might find something stronger than fear. "All right," he finally said, his voice low but steady. "Let's take it one day at a time." And as he spoke, the old man on the horse nodded slowly, a ghost of a smile ghosting across his weathered face. In that moment, amidst the rising tension and the fading light, a new story began to unfurl. A single thread pulled from the fabric of history, promising warmth and connection in a world that had long forgotten the meaning of both. The air hummed with the promise of change, and just beyond the gathering group, the last rays of sun flickered against the old weathered barn, its faded red paint peeling like memories too long buried. The barn stood sentinel over the land, witness to both laughter and sorrow, a place where stories were birthed from hay bales and whispered behind closed doors. Lily clapped her hands together, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can show you how to bake bread, Ayana, and how to ride a horse." She hopped from one foot to the other, enthusiasm spilling over, as if the very earth beneath them resonated with her joy. Ayana's gaze flickered towards the barn, where shadows danced in the dimming light, hinting at the secrets it held. "I've never ridden before," she admitted, her voice soft yet curious, inching closer to the warmth of their camaraderie. Samuel shifted his weight, the heaviness of his decision still settling in the marrow of his bones. He noticed the way the wind rattled the barn doors, sending a shiver through the wooden structure, as if it too were pondering their pact. "We'll take it slow," he said, clearing his throat, feeling the weight of those old stories, the weight of generations clinging to him like the dust on his boots. The elderly man, still perched high on his horse, watched intently as the evening deepened around them. "Trust doesn't blossom overnight," he warned, his voice carrying the knowledge of many seasons. "It's like a seed. It needs tending, patience." His eyes crinkled as he nodded at Lily's exuberance, a glint of understanding passing between them. Sarah stepped forward, her gentle presence like a balm to the tension. "But seeds grow, don't they? With enough care they can flourish," she countered, her hand resting on Ayana's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity. "And perhaps, if we're lucky, we might find that the ground here can hold roots from many different plants." Ayana's gaze darted between the adults, the warmth of their acceptance wrapping around her like a soft quilt. "I want to learn everything," she repeated, this time firmer. Her determination ignited something within Samuel, an ember of hope glowing bright against his doubts. "Then let's start today," he said, feeling the pull of the barn calling to them, its dusty corners filled with endless possibilities. As he gestured for Ayana to walk with him, he caught the old man's approving nod, a silent acknowledgement that perhaps the scars of the past could begin to heal. With every step toward the barn, the shadows retreated, giving way to the vibrant energy of new beginnings. As the group entered the cool interior, the smell of aged wood and straw filled their lungs, and the first tentative notes of laughter began to echo, weaving a tapestry of connection that would stretch across the divide of their histories. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the scent of rain, a promise of growth yet to come. And somewhere deep within, a single thread was drawn tighter, binding them in a story that was just beginning to unfold. The barn door creaked open, revealing the interior swathed in golden hues of fading daylight. Dust motes danced in the air, like tiny stars caught in a web of their own making. Samuel stepped inside, feeling the sturdy timbers beneath his fingertips, each one a testament to the hands that had built it and the lives that had gathered here. Lily rushed ahead, her laughter bouncing off the walls, while Sarah lingered behind, watching Ayana with a mix of hope and caution. "You'll find it's not just about riding," she said, her voice a gentle guide. "It's about understanding the heartbeat of the horse, the rhythm of the land." Ayana nodded, absorbing every word, her heart racing with the thrill of possibility. Samuel moved to the corner where old tools hung like relics of a forgotten era, each rusted edge telling a tale of labor and love. He picked up a worn pitchfork, its handle smooth from years of use, and turned back to the group. "Every tool has a story," he mused, holding it aloft. "Just like us. It's what we choose to do with them that counts." Outside, a solitary crow cawed, its voice slicing through the stillness, a reminder of the world beyond their circle. The old man dismounted, dust swirling around his boots as he approached the barn, his presence commanding, yet unassuming. "You learn to ride by listening, by trusting the horse will carry you when you can't carry yourself," he said, his gaze steady on Ayana. "Can I try?" Ayana's voice trembled with excitement and trepidation, her eyes bright with challenge. "Of course," he replied, a smile breaking the lines of his weathered face. "But first, let's find the right horse for you, one that knows how to lead." He gestured toward the back of the barn, where the shadows thickened, and the sound of soft nickers drew them in. As they walked deeper into the barn, the scent of hay mingled with something sweeter, wildflowers pressed between the pages of time. Samuel felt a surge of nostalgia wash over him, memories of his own childhood flickering like candlelight, long summer days spent roaming this very barn with dreams of adventure painted across his mind. Ayana trailed her fingers along the rough walls, brushing against patches of faded paint where vibrant colors once thrived. "It feels alive in here," she whispered, captivated. "Everything has a pulse, even the walls," Sarah replied, her voice threading through the air like a melody. "You just have to listen." They emerged into the stall area, where horses swayed gently, their coats glistening in the dim light. One horse in particular stood apart, a sleek black mare with a white star on her forehead, as if she had been waiting for Ayana's arrival. She stepped forward, nostrils flaring, curious about the newcomer. "Her name is Midnight," the old man said, a hint of pride in his tone. "She's wise and will take good care of you." Ayana's breath caught in her throat as she took a step closer. Midnight lowered her head, inviting a touch, and Ayana hesitated only a heartbeat before reaching out. The connection was immediate, electric, and as their palms met, the room seemed to shift, a new chapter unfurling in their shared narrative. "See?" Lily chimed, bouncing on her toes. "Just like that." In that moment, as the sun slipped lower in the sky, casting golden beams through the barn's slats, Samuel recognized the thread that bound them all, the yearning for belonging, for purpose, and the courage to forge ahead into the unknown. Outside, the first drops of rain began to fall, tapping against the roof like the heartbeat of a new beginning, weaving into the fabric of their story. A story not just of survival, but of connection, growth, and the promise of tomorrow. Ayana stood transfixed, her heartbeat sinking with midnight's gentle breaths. The mare nudged her shoulder, and the warmth radiating from the creature seeped into Ayana's bones, grounding her in this moment. "What do I do now?" she asked, glancing over her shoulder at Samuel, who leaned against the stall door, arms crossed, his weathered face softening in the light. "Just breathe," he replied, his tone steady, as he gestured to the halter hanging nearby. "Start by making her feel safe. Horses are like us. They read our emotions in every movement, every breath." With a sense of purpose, Ayana reached for the halter, her fingers brushing against the rough fabric, feeling its history. As she slipped it over Midnight's head, Sarah stepped closer, her eyes glinting with encouragement. "You're doing great, Ayana. Just keep that connection." Outside, the rain quickened, drumming against the barn roof like 1,000 tiny hooves, each droplet a reminder of the life coursing around them. The earthy scent of wet soil wafted in through the open doors, mingling with the rich aroma of hay, creating a tapestry of sensations that wrapped around them. Ayana's confidence surged. "Can I lead her out?" she asked, her voice steadier now, a melody of determination. "Absolutely," Samuel said, stepping aside to give her room. "But remember, it's a dance. You need to guide her while she guides you." As she led Midnight outside, the mare followed with a graceful trust, their movements synchronized in a rhythm only they could hear. The rain fell harder now, but it didn't matter. It felt like a cleansing, washing away doubt. They stepped into the open pasture, where the grass shimmered like emeralds beneath the silver veil of rain. Ayana felt the earth shift under her feet, the weight of the world falling away as she turned to face Midnight. "It's just you and me," she murmured, the sound swallowed by the storm. Midnight snorted softly, as if in agreement, and Ayana felt a surge of joy. It was as though the universe had crafted this moment just for them, a thread woven through time, connecting past and present. Lily, watching from the shelter of the barn, clapped her hands, laughter bubbling over, her spirit uncontained. "Look at you! You're a natural!" Ayana couldn't contain her smile, the sheer delight igniting a fire within her. She glanced back at Samuel and Sarah, who stood together, eyes sparkling with approval, and felt an urge to embrace this new reality. The rain fell heavier, but it didn't matter. Every droplet was an affirmation, every gust of wind a whisper of encouragement. Ayana closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the wild energy of the storm and the pulse of the earth beneath her. Here, in the embrace of the rain and the company of her horse, she wasn't just finding her way. She was discovering herself, thread by thread, in a tapestry of hope and possibility. A sudden rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, a deep growl that resonated with the very marrow of the earth. Midnight shifted, her ears flicking back at the sound. But Ayana's hand was steady on the mare's neck, an anchor amidst the chaos. She whispered soothing words, a melody only the two of them understood, and felt midnight relax beneath her touch. The pasture stretched wide, the horizon blurred by sheets of rain. A lone oak tree stood sentinel at the far edge, its branches heavy with droplets that glistened like jewels. It beckoned to Ayana, a beacon amidst the storm, and she felt the pull of it, the desire to run toward something greater, something that promised shelter and strength. "Let's go," she breathed, her voice a spark igniting within her. With a gentle tug on the reins, she turned midnight towards the tree, and together they moved, the world transforming around them as they galloped forward, hooves pounding against the drenched earth. Lily watched, her eyes wide, heart racing at the sight of Ayana and midnight dancing through the downpour. Each stride was a declaration, a celebration of the wild spirit that lay dormant within. "Look at them!" she shouted, her laughter mingling with the storm, a bright thread woven through the fabric of the moment. Samuel and Sarah exchanged glances, their hearts swelling with a shared pride. In the midst of their work and worries, a new life was blossoming before their eyes, one that had the potential to change everything. Samuel leaned closer to Sarah. "She's got the fire in her," he said softly, a sense of awe coloring his voice. "Just like you." Ayana reached the oak tree, pulling midnight to a halt beneath its wide canopy. The air was filled with the scent of rain-soaked bark and fresh grass, invigorating and alive. She looked up at the swirling clouds, the way they moved like a tide across the sky, and felt the weight of her fears lifting, replaced by something fierce and exhilarating. "Thank you," she whispered to midnight, patting the mare's side as she leaned against the sturdy trunk of the oak. "For trusting me." And in that moment, they were part of something bigger than themselves, a bond forged in the heart of the storm, a thread connecting them, not just to each other, but to the land, to their history, and to the dreams still yet to unfold. As the rain fell, drenching them both in a shared baptism, Ayana knew she had found her way,